My name's Leoni Bolt, and I went from high school troublemaker and long-time backpacker to accidental entrepreneur. After 15 years working as a professional photographer and running my own studio, I grew into becoming a personal empowerment and business mentor to help other women to follow their passions and find their purpose too. I've learnt to pave my own way through life, and now I empower others to do the same, to break through their limiting beliefs and empower them to shine. Welcome to the Empowered to Shine podcast, where we dive deep into creating a life by your own design. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Empowered to Shine podcast. I actually have a big announcement to make, and it's something that I've been contemplating for quite some time. So if you follow me on social media, you might have got a little bit of an inkling of this. If you've been listening to the podcast, you probably would realize that it's been a bit sporadic as of late. I did let go of the podcast for quite a while just because I was concentrating on some other things. I just kind of put it on the back burner. But some things have been changing in my world. I've felt like most of this year I've been in a bit of a void, a bit of a transitional period, not really knowing where it was going, waiting for something to show up. Let me know if you've been in that void this year, because I'm not the only person I know. I've been talking to people and everybody's kind of felt this transitional phase where you kind of feel like you're pivoting, but you don't really know what it looks like. And you've had to learn the process of surrender. Let me know if that's you, because it's a very uncomfortable place to be. And I swear to God, I've been in that void for most of this year. Stuck in that limbo land. It's a bit weird. I wouldn't say it's scary. It's just kind of like you've got to surrender to the universe and know that whatever is meant to show up will show up at the right time for you. So I've had a bunch of stuff that I've kind of not really been wanting to let go of, just kind of holding on to just in case. But we all know how these things work. You've actually got to let stuff go, let shit go, to make way for new stuff to come in, right? Big, expansive stuff. So I had made the decision prior to today that I was going to let this podcast go. I had a few other episodes I had to get out. So if you're listening and you've just found me and you're like, I really love this, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say that I will be letting this podcast go because I am pivoting. I'm changing direction. What was meant to show up has actually shown up for me. I'd been holding on to a lot of things, being really inconsistent, and that's a funky place to be. So it's going to be a fresh new year in 2023. I've had a really exciting opportunity pop up for me. So I've also been diving into my human design and learning a lot about that. Now, if you've ever done your human design chart, or if you haven't, go and do a free one. There's plenty of platforms where you can get that done, and then you can get the basics, but then obviously there's so much that you can dive into it. There's so much depth to your human design, but basically it brings together a bunch of concepts: astrology, Chinese I Ching. There's a bunch of things that it brings together to basically give you a map of who you were born to be, not who you are, but who you were born to be, because it takes in all of the aspects of where you were born, when you were born, all of those sorts of things. So a lot of us are living out of alignment and not even realizing we've been conditioned to do things a certain way. One of the big eye-openers for me was eating and how we are meant to eat. So what came up for me was that I should eat one food at a time. Really sort of primitive, not to have too many things on my plate. Obviously, we've been conditioned to eat 3 meals a day and have, all these things on our plate. And apparently that's not how I should be fueling my body. So that's something I'm still yet to explore, but it's very interesting when you start to dive into it. So basically, when it comes down to human design, there's 5 different design types. So there's the manifestors, and the manifestors are the ones that are usually the ideas people. They're the ones that bring people together and get people to work on their big ideas. So think of people like Elon Musk, right? Or, they have these big ideas. They don't necessarily do all the work to get them there. They go, yep, here's my idea. You guys go and make it happen, right? So the guys that go and make it happen, they're the generators. They're the ones that are here to do the work. They're the worker bees, and they are the majority of the population. There's also manifestor generators, very good entrepreneurs because they know how to start things. They've got lots of great ideas. They've got the ability to have 101 things going on at the same time. And they've got the energy to be able to make all of that happen. Now, I've realized that that's how I've been running my business for quite some time, but that's not me. I'm a projector. And before I dive into projectors, there's also reflectors. Now, reflectors tend to reflect the energy of other people. So I don't really know a lot about reflectors. I don't think there's a huge amount of those around. And if you're a reflector, I'd love to hear more about what it's like to be a reflector. But I'm a projector. And again, if you're a projector, let me know because it's very interesting. So yeah, I found out I was a projector. Now, projectors do not have sacral energy, which means we do not have the motor that we need to do that endurance work, right? So I'm an early riser, and I know by 3 o'clock I'm cactus. So I just don't bother. After about 3 o'clock, I'm like, you know what? I've done plenty for today. I'm not being productive anymore. And it's because I don't have that sacral energy, and I feed off the energy of other people. And so, yeah, that also means because I'm feeding off other people's energy, that I also need a lot of downtime so that I can purge that energy and clear my aura and come back to who I am. So that's a very interesting way to try and operate as an entrepreneur. The other very interesting thing that I found out about projectors is that we have to wait for the invitation. We cannot initiate. If we initiate, it's not going to work. We have to wait for the invitation. Now, imagine trying to run a business where you're not allowed to initiate anything and you have to wait for the invitation. I've figured out that's exactly why it's sometimes really hard for me to get things off the ground, because I might have the big ideas. I don't have the energy to do it, and I'm not supposed to initiate. So yeah, it's a very interesting thing to come across after being in business for 18 years and wondering why I struggle sometimes. Now it's very, very clear. One of the things when I was thinking about this that came to mind was when I was younger, when I was in my early 20s, I traveled for about 6 years. And when I think about it, I always had the invitation. So one of the things that we're also not supposed to do is initiate a move, like moving, towns or whatever it looks like. I traveled for 6 years and it was always on the invitation of somebody else. Now, it could be that I've planned something with a friend prior to leaving and I was going to catch up with them at a certain location, but it was also, I traveled on my own a lot. I went to backpacker hostels. I'd meet people at the hostel and they'd say, hey, we're going to do this tomorrow. Do you want to come? And I'd go, yeah, sure, I'll come along. So I literally followed the invitation for 6 years and had the best time of my life. Everything just fell into place. So it's amazing when I think back to that now, how incredible that experience was and how I was really in alignment with my human design. So the exciting thing that I've got to announce is that I've actually had an incredible invitation. It's not the first invitation that I've had recently, but it's definitely the one that's felt most aligned. And that's been another lesson, is just taking the ones that are aligned and not everything that comes your way. So I've had an invitation from my business coach, who I've been working with for 2 years in the space of photography. Obviously, as a photographer, that is my jam. That is my genius zone. I've been trying to be everything for everybody and burning out all over the place. So yeah, I've had this invitation to coach photographers inside of the mastermind that I've been a part of for the past 2 years. It means that I've had the invitation. It means that the content's already created. It means that I already know a bunch of people that are inside of the program. I'm going to be able to welcome in new members. I'm going to be able to create my own new content. And it just feels so aligned. So it's really exciting. Obviously, that means I'm also going to be able to let a lot of things go, which isn't sad. It's just a rebirth, right? It's a rebirth of who I am and where I'm going. I've also had a fantastic invitation, and it's something that I've been working on for probably 12 months now. We just haven't really made it happen, but it's going to happen in 2023, is I'm now the Brisbane ambassador for the Secret Sisters in Business Society. So they are based on the Gold Coast. I'm based in Brisbane. I'm going to be bringing a chapter of Sis in Biz to Brisbane. So watch this space. If you're a female entrepreneur in Brisbane, 2023, we're going to be launching our brand new Sis in Biz chapter here in Brisbane. So that's another beautiful invitation that I've had. And on the last weekend, yes, we went to the Gold Coast Girls in Business Awards on the Gold Coast, and Sis in Biz was one of the major sponsors, and I got to sit at the sponsor table and look at all, be there and support all of the beautiful women getting awards for their businesses. And honestly, the caliber of women and the support and the nurturing that I've found in this group is just amazing. We have group messages, everybody's always got each other's backs. I've been part of the mastermind on the Gold Coast, which it means that I can go down and I can collaborate with these women on a deeper level, working on each other's businesses, helping each other where we can. It's just been really incredible, and I can't wait to bring that chapter to Brisbane in 2023. So everything is really exciting. It also means that the Women Empowered to Shine Facebook group, I'm going to be rejigging that around this new Sis in Biz thing when it happens. At the moment, I'm just sort of waiting for us to launch so that I can see what I need to do with the Facebook page. I will let the podcast go for now. I may start another one with my photographers. Obviously, that'll be aimed at a different audience. But if you're interested in photography, it might be worth listening to. That's not anything that's on my plan yet, but just saying that in terms of podcasts, if I'm going to do them again, that's probably where I will go. Just seeing if there's anything here that I've forgotten that I wanted to chat to you about. So coming back to the human design, as a projector, I've discovered that I'm the master of systems and the guide to others. I can actually see the big picture and see before others what they can't see. So that makes me a really good guide to help them. And that's why I've been really powerful in the coaching space when I've been invited into somebody's world and not initiated it. It's a really strange way to have to try to run a business. I've also discovered, my defined centers in my personal chart are my spleen, which is my intuition, and all of my decisions are basically come back to intuition and a gut feeling. And I always thought that maybe that was a bit woo-woo, but that's absolutely how I was designed. And my root chakra, so grounding. So I'm really good at grounding the woo-woo. Everything else in my chart is open. So I've got an open throat, really hard for me to speak my truth. I haven't found it so hard on this podcast, but you might have noticed that most of the time I'm interviewing other people, I'm not really talking about what I'm doing necessarily. And that's probably because it's not in my natural genius zone to speak my truth. And that's okay. It's really exciting to start to be on this journey of what feels aligned and not doing the cookie cutter, what everybody else thinks is going to work, because I've discovered it's not going to work for me. I might have made it look like it was working, but it's hard work. It's really hard work when you're not in alignment with where you're supposed to be. It's really tough swimming the wrong way up a creek. You might have heard me use that analogy before, but yeah, I am dedicating this year to being more in alignment, listening to my intuition, waiting for the invitation, and being open to more and more opportunities and just surrendering to what is meant to happen. So if you've done your human design chart, let me know what you are. Let me know your genius zone. I would love to hear it. If you want to stay in touch, you can absolutely reach out to me on social media. My website is still going to be there. You can still connect through there. Just find me at Leoni Bolt Confidence Creator. Any of those, you can find me online. And yeah, I will still be around. But this is the evolution of what is happening in my world. And it's really, really exciting. So I'd love to hear your plans for 2023, how your business is evolving, how you're evolving. And I'm so excited. This is really exciting. So as much as this is bye, it's just bye for now. I'll still be here. You can still find me. But this will be the last podcast for Empowered to Shine. Oh, it's kind of sad, right? It's kind of sad. It's been a really beautiful platform for me to connect with you. Thank you for my avid listeners. Thank you for connecting with me. If you want to go back and listen to any of the other episodes, they're going to be there for you to go back and binge listen whenever you feel the need. And just watch this space and see what happens. All right, guys, thank you so much for being with me. And I just want to say I love you all. Thank you for listening to the Empowered to Shine podcast. My name's Leoni Bolt, and I'm glad that you were able to join us today. I hope you got some serious inspiration from today's episode. If you'd like to find more episodes, go to leonibolt.com/podcasts or start subscribing on your favorite podcast streaming channel. I look forward to seeing you again soon.